Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. It's Thursday, and we've got a full panel here. Look at this. We even have the boss man here. We got to behave a little bit. How you doing, Andre?
I'm good, thank you. How about yourself?
Ask me again when I actually wake up.
What?
Well, by that time, I'm going to be asleep. So.
I know. I just, the last week or 2 or 3 or 4 months have just been like...
You know what you do? You buy a 4-pack of the smaller monsters and you just drink all of them.
No, I need a 4-pack of hookers to knock me out after a good night of fun. That's what I need, Jesse. You know?
Well, you see, you have energy for that. You have energy to go to school.
Yes, Dad.
Boy, these afternoon shows sure do get kicked off different than the morning show.
They do indeed. That's why it's After Dark. It's a little bit more spicy. Also with us is the script doctor. He has the prescription for all of your entertainment needs, but he's not a real PhD, but he does play one on YouTube.
Yes, thank you. What's this I'm hearing about Turtle Tom?
I have no idea. They want me to get a turtle costume. I might have to get... Do they make those in those blow-up costumes? Like, you know what I mean?
Sumo wrestlers blow up?
Yeah. Where they're like air costumes, like the dinosaurs and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Because actually, here's...
Which turtle?
I probably would get Mikey or Raph. But here's my thing, though. Like, because now that Perry is like way too busy to do my music video, I had a new inspiration for what the music video is going to be. It's going to be me walking around in different places, but every different shot or scene or whatever. I mean, I want as many of those blow up costumes as I can find. The dinosaurs, all of them. And if we can find a Ninja Turtle one, cool. That's kind of the root of my idea.
You're going to attract a furrier community over here.
No, there ain't gonna be no fur in it. It's all just blow up costumes. You know what I'm talking about.
And besides, we shouldn't kink shame. So
exactly,
no, we shouldn't. You know, if there's a kid
they spend good money
squirrel,
too.
I'm not going to say no.
They spend good money too.
More than most others, from what.
Yeah. It's a good point. See, Andre's a businessman. He knows.
Yeah, exactly.
For that, you have to pay extra.
We're definitely going to get to where are we at now? We're definitely going to get to 100,000 subs with the furry community. Oh yeah, yeah, okay.
Speaking of businessmen, right below me here, we have the one, the only. You know him, you love him. You know him from the chats and all his wonderful super chats, and he sponsors just about everything I do. Mexican Iron Man. How you doing, Mike?
Ready to come to work, sir. I noticed that Andre the boss man is here. I am here in company attire here.
At this point, I think I work
Very
for you.
Good. I approve.
I'm wearing company attire. Mr. Andre, sir, the summary report is on your desk, pending review with the Post-it note, sir.
Here, let me make it big so you can actually show that beautiful sweatshirt off.
Oh.
There you go. Look at that.
You don't have one? Order one now. Oh, they're so comfy. So comfy.
Yeah, you were just saying, even though it's just like a couple extra bucks, the premium ones are that much better or something like that?
Yeah. I spent an extra I don't know if it's $2, $5, whatever it is. Don't get the regular shirt. Get the one that says premium sweatshirt. And it fits better and it's so comfy.
Well, full disclosure.
More of a V shape to them, so they look better.
Well, that's Jesse there. So since you're just talking, I'll say hello to you, Jesse. How you doing?
Hurrah!
Glad to have you here. But yeah, no, like one of the reasons why I go through these guys and not like the Teespring and all that kind of stuff is one of the main reasons is the quality and the sizes. You get a lot more options and the quality seems so much better. Because I've gotten a couple of those shirts from those other places and I'm not nearly as impressed. So I definitely can stand by the quality of our t-shirts here at Midnight's Edge.
Yeah, I sleep by them and I walk around with them.
He sleeps in them.
Yeah.
Plus, when you go through them, they don't kick you out for making really funny T-shirts.
that's
Amber's turd is still for sale.
Exactly.
It's got a girl pooping on a bed.
Yeah, and that's going to get a lot of traction now when it's confirmed what we reported already, that she was welcome back for Aquaman Part 2, because Walter Hamada is a huge fan of her.
So how are those bed sheets coming along? Have we found a bed sheet company that's willing to print that?
Honestly, I hadn't had the time to even look. But that is a good question, Script Doctor. If anybody knows any of that, feel free to email me.
Yeah, I also tried to find someone that could print bed sheets, but it was easier said than done. I found like some in Pakistan, but you had to do like a volume of like 10,000.
That's a lot.
Oh, mass order stuff. Yeah, that's risky there.
Yeah.
Did you inform them that you are not the Smurfs?
Yeah, I informed them that thank you for your time and have a nice day. I informed them of that.
It's funny
Now,
that
you know,
you
Andre,
actually did the legwork to go all the way down to Pakistan to look for someone who would print bed sheets.
Well, to propel sales, we could brand them as Mexican Iron Man Super Latino Sexy Times bed sheet.
You can always just get normal bed sheets and throw brown paint at them.
No, if we're gonna do this, we should go all out and make them
a little green.
No. They're gonna be like, the one that goes around your bed is gonna be like green. Then you're gonna get a white for the pillowcases, and then red for the. I'm making this up.
It's got to be the Not Some Kid cartoon on the pillowcases, the duvet cover, the bed sheets.
Oh, this is too complicated.
No,
Well,
but
aren't
it's
they
the
gonna be
best
one big
idea
one
ever,
or
though. It really is.
But aren't they going to be rubber sheets just because, like, that makes sense?
Does it say "fuck you, Johnny" smeared in shit like she was finger painting?
No, it was just a mess everywhere. Our version of it is much cleaner and cute.
It is. It's actually almost beautiful.
Yeah, and I want to say hello to the chat here. And speaking of, we got a super chat right off the bat from our fellow Canadian Zontar, or is that Zontar A?
Huh?
Oh, come on, script. You should get that one. Anyway.
Yeah, it's Zontar, eh?
See, I can do more than just Mexican humor, Mike.
Yeah.
I saw
we're putting
Canadian
you on tour,
bacon.
buddy.
That was funnier than me. You're fired.
What? I just turned in my report to the
kidding.
boss.
You're my boss anyway. Like I said, you pay me. So when you probably break it down in the end, you've probably bought more stuff, given me more super chats than I could ever pay you.
Oh, stop. Let's move on to today's topic in the super chats.
Yes, Amazon. Zontar says, some see Amazon Video as a sleeping giant. I see it as a paper tiger. That's an interesting take on it. Most of your Prime subscription goes to Prime Air and its logistics facilities. Now, that is a big wormhole of stuff to get into.
Oh, there's a big rabbit hole there, man.
I don't know the shipping side of Prime, but I'm sure the price, I mean, the revenue for it goes by, I'm sure, views and all kinds of other things. So they know what they're doing and they know how much they have and how many people are watching it. And Prime, and we'll get into that because that's part of the main story here. But no, I mean, I'll ask the question of the group before when we get into the in the article, if what they think of that, if you guys think the same way, or if you think that Amazon is somebody we should worry about. We got Sailor Sonic in the chat as well. Hello. We got Midnight Mike. How you doing? Saying hail mead. Hello. We got Rob Altiz. We got Judicon. We got Warwolf. How you doing? Who is also a member. And then we got this guy. I don't know who that is. Snake Eyes. How you doing? And we got Valiant Renegade. I sent you a link. If you're not busy, buddy, you can hop in for a bit.
Speaking of Snake Eyes,
yeah.
The poster has him wearing the mask. Just not the trailer.
Yeah, I heard about it. I haven't watched the trailer. But yeah, we got Mike Beats Dix. We got IUD4. We got Batmanuel. I like Batmanuel.
Yeah, I mean, the Tick. I love anything from the Tick.
And Warwolf says you stole his joke, Andre. We got Jace Law, who I was on a stream with the other day. It was nice to meet you. Mark 47's here. How you doing?
And he's also from Norway, so he's also a plate.
Oh, yeah, is he? I did not know that. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, Jace is cool.
I did not even know he was Norwegian. I didn't catch the accent, Andre. What's your excuse?
I don't know.
He only got, in his defense and my defense, I only got to talk to him for a few minutes. So
yeah.
he barely got in the stream when I was heading in. So,
well, to be fair, he says hail from Norway. Another comment here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known.
I didn't even see that one. So there you go. The chat goes by so damn fast. Stephen Otten says, hail Andre, Tom Script, Mike Jesse, and everyone in the chat. Thanks for the Zorro stream. Excellent movie of the kind I wish we had more of.
Yes,
yeah,
because
I
earlier
that whole thing.
Well, you missed out because we had an amazing Zorro stream over at Midnight's Edge Espanol, and everyone go there, check out that stream where we talk about the movie. Plus, the whole movie is also on Midnight's Edge Espanol, because this then is the first Zorro movie from 1920. So 100-year-old movie, and it's amazing. It's better than movies being made today. I mean, everyone on the panel that was there with me were blown away, especially Mike.
It was really surprising,
right? Yeah,
it was surprising to watch it because it was like usually movies from that era, they're very jerky and they're very mugging to the camera.
They're hand cranked cameras.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because it's like during the sword fights, they're obviously moving faster than the camera.
Yep.
But it was beautiful to see, even though it was all yellowed, because it was like you could see how much time they put into those costumes and the backgrounds. And it's just like back then, it was both very time efficient, but everything that was in the scene meant something.
Yeah,
they're just different.
It's a beautiful piece of art where filmmaking is concerned. So I just love that movie. And
I was always fascinated by that. Like back in the day, like I learned this from the Chaplin movie, but like they would make hundreds of movies and the people putting up the money wouldn't even think about what was in the movie, but the director had that like 1 week to make his good movie. And how do you make a good movie in a week?
Well, in most cases you don't, which is why most of the movies made 100 years ago are lost to history. We only have some of them, and thank God this is one.
Yeah, no, Disney and Star Wars, you can't make a good movie in 3 or 4, 10 years.
No. The other part too is that there was also a lot of female writers and directors during that time that lost in some films that had great reverence as well, just because studios didn't know how to properly take care of and archive the reels at that time. Stuff like for Zorro and some of the stuff in the early 30s, that was all out of luck mostly than it was any sort of competence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then a lot of it was disposable after a while too. Like they didn't think that they had a very long date on it, especially when they got really heavy duty into producing stuff, and that's why a lot of that stuff's lost, is it just got tossed.
Yeah, I mean, even a classic like Nosferatu. Mm-hmm. All we have, because there it actually was a court order to destroy every single copy of the movie. So we had like 1 or 2 or 3 prints in private collections. That's it. That's what the whole movie survives from.
Yep. Yeah, and you'll have that even on movies that are studio films that have nothing wrong with them. They just deteriorated, or the negatives were lost, or what have you. These things happen so easily.
Yeah, and they were never meant to be released at home, obviously. I mean, these things were meant to be in a theater and never thought of again.
Yep.
Well, no one ever thought that film would be forever. That's the other part, too. Like, that was not a mentality that came about until late 60s.
Yeah, much later.
Thank God they didn't figure out reboots like 20 years in and be like, hey, let's do Gone with the Wind again.
Well, technically now they do have a stock of film that is really preservable. So when they do all these new 4K masters, they not only do a digital master off the original negative, they put out a new interpositive negative for future use. Like, so they have a clean, fresh, brand new film stock version of it that's being put away. And it's the most pristine version they can. So, and it's on a stock that won't deteriorate and all that kind of crap. So, yeah, we got some more people in the chat though. Warwolf says, well, guess I'm boycotting Aquaman too then. We don't blame you there, but what are they going to do?
Entirely your choice.
The thing that bothers me more so about it, it's not so much that she's still there, it's that they fired Johnny. That's the part that bothers me. It's like, if you're going to do it tit for tat, get rid of her ass too. Because that's what I would do. I'd be like, look, both y'all are in a toxic relationship, or you're both just toxic in general. And until this whole thing is resolved, I think as Warner Brothers, we should not be associated with you until this is all taken care of. And that, I think, is fair on everybody's part. And we also have the one, the only Valiant Renegade joining us tonight. How you doing?
Valiant.
Yeah, Elizabeth Taylor never had this much issue with her divorces, and she was married like 8 times.
And none of it matters anyway, because they're making a movie with Namor in it.
Wait a minute, who's here? Valiant Renegade. Oh.
Yeah, you're not the sexy one anymore.
I know. I felt the same way, Mike.
It's okay.
And you put him next to me. We're even next to each other in the studio room. Look at us. Look, he's right next to me. This guy.
Yeah, all snuggled up here.
Hey, whoa. Hey, just because we talked about bed sheets earlier, don't get all
With
like,
that voice, you can snuggle up to me anytime, Valiant.
I am Valiant Renegade.
Nikki D says, which movie do you think will have a bigger domestic box office opening, Black Widow or F9? Oh, F9, easy. What do you guys think?
F9.
Yeah, F9.
F9.
Has to be.
I mean, you look at the tracking on it right now. F9, of course, has they got a major fan following. As we've all said a million times, Black Widow seems like a movie that's several years too late. And the buzz just isn't going right now. You look at Box Office Pro, and I think even John Trent over at Bounding Into Comics did a piece on it recently. I think it'll do all right, but compared to other films coming out right now in terms of what they are and what they normally get, I don't know what's going to happen with it. I mean, you got A Quiet Place Part 2 comes out and basically matches and arguably exceeded its predecessor that was obviously pre-lockdown. So, I mean, what does that tell you? So Black Widow has a ladder to climb here.
I'm going to be a contrarian and go with Black Widow because the Fast and the Furious movies are terrible. And this new Fast 9, it's got a nice colorful poster, and then it's got John Cena and something about a flying car. So go watch Harry Potter instead if you're into flying cars and stupid bullshit. And same thing with Black Widow. I mean, she's going to jump on and off of things that are physically impossible and do a whole bunch of other things which are physically impossible. How about everybody just go read a book?
Well, look, bro. So the thing is, the thing about the Furious franchise is that you got people. Take Robert Meyer Burnett. He just, he's talked about this multiple times in the last month. The last few movies, even he's a hardcore fan, and he doesn't necessarily like, but he's still just gonna go see them. I mean, this franchise is like, hell, I hated The Last Jedi, and I begrudgingly went with my kid to see, whatever the hell the last one was called.
You're going to give these people an obligatory movie ticket just because it's a Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah.
It's got a huge Latin audience, man.
Like, it does, man.
It's massive.
Yeah, dude.
Why are they doing all this stupid shit with cars?
You got to do something bigger and better than the previous.
Yeah.
It's not. Oh.
It's not necessarily smart, but
it's not. It's a terrible plan. It's always a terrible plan.
Yes,
because they're terrible movies built
Fast
around
and the Furious 10. Fast and the Furious 10. Alien possession and disclosure. That's what the next one's going to be
called 10. It's going to be called Fast and the Furious X.
Yeah, it's going to be FX, just like the
FX,
channel that
Fast X or something
all the time.
I just can't remember a scene in any of those movies where did they ever run out of gas? Like just in the midst of it. There's a conflict that they haven't addressed. They got to do next time. They ran out of gas. It's going to be
Vin Diesel riding an ICBM rocket in the space, diffusing and talking about his family.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. He's got to drive the ICBM.
Or get this. They're doing a car chase. They're going so fast they launch into outer space, and then they catch that Tesla that was launched last year.
And then he jumps into that and he drives that back to Earth.
He jumps into the Tesla that was launched by Elon's company, and then Musk's company, and then he turns it around and he brings the Tesla back to fight the aliens and save the world.
Yeah, he takes that and he crashes into a satellite and he magically uses a parachute somehow or whatever to get back to Earth. It's all.
I'm not saying a word.
And he uses a paper cup instead of an oxygen mask. He uses a paper cup. He takes one big breath and he holds it with a paper cup the whole time, like a little Dixie cup. Yeah,
and it doesn't burn up on re-entry because
no.
Why? Because I am Groot.
Because he's got because he's going to rip off the car door, the driver's side, and that's going to be his shield as he re-enters.
When he gets back, it was made in the 50s.
All right. Well, let's get everybody's Jesse, you said Black Widow. Mike, you said F9. Valiant, did you get to go yet?
Yeah, I think F9 is going to pull it out.
And I think Script, you said F9, and then Andre?
I'm inclined to believe F9 at this point, but with John Cena bowing down and bending the knee to China, who knows?
Actually, this is a great super chat to get into our first story, but we have a couple other I'm going to address first, but I'm going to bring up the story here. I think this is very poignant to a lot of what's going on right now because there's a lot of confusion. As I had said, there was going to be. We're going to get into this whole thing. Streaming is an interesting thing, as you can see with our headline here. So that's a very good question, along with the question we had before. So I want to remember that too. Roger H sends us a super sticker. I'm going to assume that's a thumbs up. I bet you it's a thumbs. I bet you a super sticker. It's a thumbs up. Thank you so much for that. And Willie Woodward, how you doing, buddy? Says Corman made his films in 1 week too. Get on it. Get with it.
We could tell that he made his movies in 1 week.
Well, Little Shop of Horrors.
That's mean. It was hard.
What's amazing is the one that he made in the shortest amount of time, Little Shop of Horrors, is probably arguably his best film. Let's be real. I mean, I'm not talking about all the, and even some of the movies he's produced that you could probably even count in there. I mean, I love Death Race 2000, but the movie that's the most original, with the most original story, the best edited,
had full hand in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Little Shop is his thing. Like everything else that he's done, like the stuff that he's produced, that stuff was way better than anything he's directed.
Yeah. Pilgrim Media says the Black Widow talk are making the shrooms kick. Well, at least you have shrooms for the show.
These snozberries taste like snozberries.
Do you know what a snozberry is?
It's a dick.
That's right. Werewolf. Well, the bigger problem for Black Widow is that she's dead. So while the film is a prequel, but we know what's ahead for her. Maybe, and I've brought that up many, many times. Like, I have a feeling that there's got to be a reason that they're doing this now. I just don't know. But we'll get into that here a little bit. Galgo, aka Galgo 13, aka Brandon the Infinite Wolf, who we've had on our member streams, and I popped in a few other streams with. How you doing, buddy? Says 6 levels of awesome on my screen. No movies for me this summer. Watch some anime and you will have a hell of a time, a lot more fun, and be entertained. Yeah, I mean, this summer's not shaping up to be a great one for film.
Wait, I thought it's 5 levels of awesome and Valiant Renegade.
Yeah, I was waiting for the mic joke on that one.
You were waiting, huh? You knew I was gonna say anyways. You're like texting. I bet you texted me anyway.
All right.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know.
No, we're best friends. No. We tease each other.
I know.
We are absolutely brothers.
We only got you for like 10 more minutes, I think, right?
Yeah. By the way, when they say they don't know where to watch the latest blockbuster, okay, maybe we're not sure which blockbuster, if any blockbuster is even a blockbuster. But AMC's buying theaters up left and right. They're assuming a lot of liabilities. They're buying up leases.
Oh, Are they?
That article dropped this afternoon. Here, I'll send you the link right now. Here.
Well, here's the thing.
And
go ahead, Valiant. Sorry.
I was just going to say real quick on that what Mike just said. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't read the whole thing yet, but I mean, they went out and they liquidated a bunch of treasury stock when all that Reddit stuff was going on, and of course they were able to raise, tons and tons of money because of the ridiculously overinflated share price of AMC right now. It's like every morning I look at it and I'm laughing. But I mean, they were able to take advantage of it and fill the coffers up. They can liquidate debt. They can take on a whole lot more properties now, and that's why. Yeah. And they made a major acquisition. I mean, they're the thing about leases. Okay, let's talk finance for a second, Renegade. And the guys, I gotta, like I mentioned in the backstage, I got about 5-10 minutes, then I gotta go to another commitment. I'll be back in an hour. But here's the thing: they're not buying real estate. They're not even buying the buildings on real estate. They're taking leases on. Leases are basically liabilities. Leases are not an asset. Okay, they're basically agreeing to rental contracts, but they feel that there's enough value in those leases, or they're negotiating new deals. It doesn't say that they're negotiating new deals. It says that they're assuming leases. So that means they're basically assuming liabilities, thinking that there's a value proposition there to be made. That is incredibly gutsy and confident from where I stand.
Not only that, they can write off the leases as a business expense.
That's true. That's true. So, I mean, I think this is all very interesting to me. This is very interesting. California is just opening up. They're, I mean, I don't know. I think this is a very interesting move. It's in Deadline. I posted, I think, earlier this afternoon.
Well, what's funny is I got my Godzilla versus Kong 3D Blu-ray in the mail today, and I bet you $5 they were wishing they were releasing that movie now instead of months ago.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah.
But what you were just talking about, Mexican Iron Man, that seems like they're gambling and playing with fire a little bit, doesn't it? because all it
Not
takes is
really,
one.
because of what Valiant said. They're using cash that they didn't earn. They're using stock cash. They have so many shares, they put them out there on the street, and what was worth probably a couple bucks one day is then worth 20, 30, or 40 the next day. So it's not like they're using past earnings or current earnings. They essentially get to. You look at it this way: it's like literally getting a stimulus check from the government that you didn't expect, and going and buy stuff that you wouldn't. You're going to buy a new Xbox or something that you wouldn't otherwise buy. I mean, it's not really your money. Yeah. It is, but it's not. But it is, but it's not.
So before we get into this, Andre, did you want to say anything up front about it all? Or I know Script read this article too, but
yeah, I haven't had the time to study the article in details, so I'm gonna have to defer opinion for.
I can just read it as far as that goes. But Script, I know you had a few interesting thoughts on it, or did you want to save those for after the article?
I'll save them for after the article, but I mean it's an interesting article with some valid points. But yeah, I'll comment on that after we breeze through it.
Because it's funny what you said. It really reminded me of something I was thinking about when I came across an article the other day, which we might bring in here too, that I think are kind of. I don't think they're associated in any way, but they're doing similar things, I feel like. And you'll get what I'm saying. I know it's kind of cryptic, but Stephen Otten came in quick with a super chat. Thank you so much for that. Says, as good as Little Shop and Death Race are, I have to include The Terror, Nicholson and Karloff. Yes, please. Oh, yeah. And of course, you had Piranha and a bunch of other great films that, he produced and stuff like that. But just I think pound for pound, story-wise.
So
everything.
Piranha was a great film.
No. Little Shop is probably his best achievement is what I was saying. But anyway, so this article starts. Confused about where to watch the latest blockbuster? You're not alone. I wonder why that would be. For Samantha follows a 54-year-old bartender in Los Angeles. The frustration has become routine. A friend will recommend a movie to watch, and thus begins the arduous. That's the word. Yes. Arduous mission to find out where she can actually view the movie. I know what the word means. I just didn't know how to say it. It drives me crazy, follows says. And she's got a weird last name. I hate that. I'll go through a ridiculous experience of going online. It says it's on Netflix, but it's not there. And then a friend says it's actually on HBO Max. I get resentful. Not only can I afford not to sign up for every streaming platform, but I also don't want to have to do that. Follows because this is the thing. She has a name.
Follow is his
fucking word. I hate this. Yeah,
Follows.
Script will tell you this is not a good name for a person, and it's not her fault. But I mean, if you're gonna make a character, don't give them a name like this unless it's a real good reason. Follows exasperation is all too common in age where new movies distribution patterns are regular being established, fractured, and reset. For decades, there was only one way for an audience to experience a new film in theaters. Now, the blurring line between streaming and theatrical releases is putting an extra layer of work on the consumer to figure out where and when a movie will be available. It's a problem that will only become more pronounced as theatrical windows continue to shrink and blockbuster movies move more freely between subscription and streaming service or subscription streaming services. For every marketing department around town, it's a new real consideration that part of your job is not just to eventize. Okay, yes. I knew what you were trying to say here, but anyway,
is that a real word?
No, it's not.
When I read this article,
that is a new one for me.
Yeah, eventize a movie.
Spectacle would be more too spectacular.
To make a movie more of a spectacle.
They wanted to be clever with incentivize.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that.
Eventize, they're trying to do both words together.
They're trying to be like, oh, look at me, look how amazing I am.
It's a studio buzzword because this is a marketing executive, if that tells you anything.
This is only funny when I do it.
But to also educate consumers about where and how. One marketing executive says, as I told you, but he only said it on the condition of anonymity, so that tells you something. That wasn't the case a few years ago. Yeah, that too. That's because that's become increasingly clear as the box office attempts to recover from COVID. When the pandemic forced movie theaters to close, the one-size-fits-all model to debuting theatrical movies went out the window, leaving cinemas in a lurch as traditional Hollywood studios forged strategies that were more favorable to distributors in theory, it provided a rare opportunity to revitalize a slow-to-change system. In practice, it's hard to imagine how the average consumer, one who likely couldn't tell the difference between a movie from Paramount, Sony, Universal, is expected to keep track of rapidly changing trends in film distribution. Now, I'm going to stop there and say it doesn't even really matter anymore if it's from any of those companies, because so many of them have so many different deals out there that that part doesn't even really matter anymore.
There's a lot of mixing and matching.
Exactly. Like, I mean, to even be like, well, I'm a Warner person or I'm a Disney person anymore, that doesn't even matter. I mean, Disney's the only one that's kind of the most exclusive in its own sense. But even there's lots of Disney and Fox movies that are still popping up on HBO Max and all that kind of shit, and Netflix. So, I mean, these deals are not as exclusive as they're making it sound. But
everybody owns everybody else.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. To wit, nearly every major movie that's opening in theaters this summer is arriving in a different manner. Paramount's A Quiet Place Part 2 is playing in theaters for 45 days before moving to Paramount Plus, while Warner Brothers offering Space Jam: A New Legacy and Suicide Squad are premiering on the big screen at the same time as they land on HBO Max at no extra cost to subscribers. From Universal, F9 and The Forever Purge are screening in cinemas for an unknown period of time before jumping to a premium video on demand service, which is funny because Universal was the one that started this shit.
And it's going to kill them to be on demand on video after that.
Now, let's
People
go back
are going to be like,
time.
I'm not going to pay for that. Now I'm going to wait because I already waited.
And I am dyslexic.
Well, that's why they're going with an
yes.
unknown. Yeah, I think that's why they're going with an unknown period of time. You know, whereas if you have a known quantity, like some of these other studios saying, well, it's going to be in theaters for a 30-day or a 45-day window, you can make a decision with a known quantity whether you want to wait or go see it. With Universal, they want to see what F9 does. If it's a hit in the theaters, they're going to let it run. You take a guess at when it's coming. You're going to get to a point where if you really want to see it, you're just going to go pay the $15 to see it on the screen.
Yeah. And
Not
Jesse,
only that-
you're technically right. I own all 4 Piranha movies.
Well, not only that, I think they're actually going. I think Universal is doing a little bit of 4DHS here because Universal has connections to Peacock. That's where they could put the movie, but they're not announcing that, and I think they're doing that deliberately to see if the other streaming services want to license the film out for more money than what they can make just on their own streaming service.
Why can't all the heads of all these companies just get together one day in a room for like a half hour and just say, so back to the old way?
They
Yes,
could.
no, maybe.
Technically, be a corporate conspiracy.
They could do it on a
That's good.
Skype call.
Well, but
What's
it
the
already
problem?
kind of
Why
is.
don't these people
That's
just
the
talk
thing.
to each other?
No, it already kind of is, though. That's the problem. And Andre, you know what I'm talking about. Going back, this all started with Universal and Trolls.
Yeah, absolutely. They were the ones that first did this with Trolls 2 World Tour, as we pointed out at the time, mostly you, Tom. And the studios were like up in arms. They were like, we will not forget about this betrayal.
Yeah, well,
I
that's
think
how
they
they
ha-
should
I
do
think
it.
they
They
have
screwed
now.
everybody.
I think they have now, though, because now everyone has screwed them worse than Universal did.
The theaters, you mean? Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the thing. And now, like we just said before, when Mexican Iron Man brought up AMC's buying up theaters, so Valiant, you actually saw that story too, you said, right?
I didn't get to read through it, but yeah, I did see something about that. And
Okay.
Again, not surprising, just because, again, they've raised a lot of capital in the last couple of months because of the stock price inflation.
Well, not just that. I'm waiting for my apologies yet that I'll never see. The amount of people I got shit from that video that I wrote months back, almost a year now, where I said the studios are going to learn they still need the theaters more than the theaters need the studios. And I know it sounds fucking stupid, but when you sit down and think about it, the movies aren't shit without theaters. They can go to streaming all the time. And what do they become then? Just fucking straight to streaming fodder.
Yeah, they're TV shows.
Basically. And the other story I was going to bring up is what it's talking about is basically how it's trying to maximize. And the story that it was from, what was it, Deadline or Variety? I can't remember now. Let me bring it up here.
Which one is that? The
where
one
it's
about,
kind of giving the excuse that you
like
need
how TV and VOD became the ultimate complementary companion to theater built in. Yeah, that's Deadline.
Yes. Okay, so that story to me, I feel like this is all like a bit of a little propaganda push here. There's something to this that the studios are realizing. Oh, we fucked up, is what I'm trying to get to. And I don't know, Andre can probably say it a little better than me or Script can. But what I'm trying to get to is like this whole thing with Kalar, this whole thing with Discovery, what we're seeing here in this article, with that article that I just brought up from Deadline, it's the studios going, what Jesse just said. They kind of just sat down and go, fuck, let's go back to the old way. Yeah, old way. Yeah. And
they either have to do it together or they're never going to do it at all, and the theaters are going to die.
Well, yeah,
because whose bright idea is it to not even open it 2 weeks in a theater before you put it on a streaming service?
The theaters won't die, I don't think, Jesse. What I think will happen is they're going to gain back their control, and that's what the studios are afraid of, because you had a moment here basically where the studios were like, we can cut their throats right now.
Yeah, because you go to the movies, it's cost twice as much money, man. At home, they've already slit their own throat, the way I look at it, because now people are beginning to expect this. That's why the tap. It's basically like, you ever see Major Payne?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you take your titty out his mouth? That's what they got to do. All at once, done.
Well,
otherwise they're just gonna be bleeding.
Well, the studios kind of tried that at the beginning of the whole lockdown. That was what I was trying to say was, they're like, all right, we're going to cut their throats. We're going to be the ones in control. We're going to have massive control. We're going to control when shit comes out, when and where and why. And then as the things went on, they learned with Godzilla versus Kong and the money they probably lost on a bunch of the movies that they did dump on streaming. And they realized, oh shit, we're never going to get the numbers that we ever thought we could. It's just not astronomically possible because of articles like this right here and other things we've talked about before, where recently we had another article where they talked about people pick one main streaming service and then they bounce around the rest.
Yeah, the thing is, at the beginning of the pandemic, the footing was different. I mean,
it was, but now
the theaters just got knocked down. Now they have the power. They're at a
exactly, and that's my
point.
Game. Is when the theaters thought they slit their throat and left them for dead. They're like, all right, motherfuckers. And then they reopened all these drive-ins. They started showing concerts. They started showing other things, which they had been doing for a while. You had the premium theaters that were doing just fine, showing classic films. I mean, we had movies like Halloween and Empire Strikes Back were two of the biggest films last year. And I'm not talking about the remake or anything of Halloween. I'm talking about the original. Isn't that weird?
It's cool, though.
Isn't it? And it's all because studios weren't releasing films, but theaters were still showing them.
When they started doing anniversary showings in theaters for one day, I mean, it's such a hit. You ask these people, why don't you do this all the time? They're like, I don't know. We're like, well, I don't know either. You like money?
Well, here's the other factor, too, is that those box office numbers are used by studios with the banks in order to get financing for other projects. And so you can't get those same accurate numbers through streaming service because there's a whole bunch of new variables going on with it. And in addition, now that we've had this experience, hopefully theater chains, whether they're small mom and pop stores or mom and pop chains or any larger chains, will have better negotiating power when it comes to showcasing films. So
I have some questions about all that.
That might flatten out the curve with regards to the inflation of prices, because if say they decide, to tell Disney, yeah, we're not giving you 90% of the ticket sales, you're going to get 60. And Disney's going to be like, well, we don't want that. It's like, well, then use your streaming service and see what happens there.
Yeah, see how well your $200 million movie does there.
Exactly. They have more power now as a result of this, because certain new elements have come forth because of the pandemic.
Well, what they've done is they've made this, and I pray to those who are younger in the chat. You may not know the movie, but hopefully everybody on the panel here does. They basically made the studios made the theaters into Mel Gibson from Payback.
Yeah.
They took everything away from him, so they left him with nothing to fucking lose. And when he has nothing to fucking lose, he's going to be the biggest fucking pain in your ass you've ever seen over the most minimal shit.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's like that scene that this whole thing is that scene in that movie where he's like, you just shot my alligator suits, man, or alligator suitcase, man. That's just mean. He's like, this is over what, $70,000? I got suits more expensive than that. It's like, it's like, it's not about that. It's about the fucking principle. And they will make it about the principle after a bit. And Andre, I know you got to be leaving, so I want to get your feelings on this stuff. But this is really kind of a deep rabbit hole to get down, and maybe even something we'll get into on the morning show at some point. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure we can get into it, but well, really, it's a matter of right now they're in a pickle because the movies that they have are big budget movies that the only way that they can earn money on is through a global box office and a traditionally normal global box office. I think that they're probably going to go to more of a model with shorter theatrical windows, that fewer movies are going to get them, but then they're going to have to reduce the budgets of the movies. So that Mando tech came in just the right time, because that's actually something that enables at least some kind of savings on many things. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with it, because the film industry is like in a state of change, like everything else.
I think that Universal saying that they don't know how long Fast 9 is going to be theatrically exclusive is a sign that that's kind of going to be the future. You're going to get a bunch of movies that, yeah, they will have a 45-day window or day and date, but then you're going to have movies like Fast 9 and Star Wars movies probably and certain other bigger films that are going to be theatrical only, and they're going to be in theaters as long as they're in theaters. Because I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of that with like Dune. They're going to turn around and say, no, it's going to be in theaters only, and we don't know for how long.
Yep, and only on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you have to wait twice as long because there's one guy working the popcorn machine.
Well, that's kind of the truth,
and then when he's done, he's going to walk over and get the other line for the people trying to actually get into the theater.
You're not totally wrong, Jesse. That's the other problem you have here is that, they've limited their options, but things are opening up. And that's kind of the thing, as far as why movies cost so much and why theaters suck now is because the studios have sucked so much of the revenue out of them. So I think that's going to change. But Andre, any more final thoughts on this before you have to check out?
Not really. We just have to wait and see how it plays out. Yeah. Other final thought beyond that is I just want to say Valiant, Jesse, script, always a pleasure. And sorry I couldn't stay longer, but it's getting quite late at my location. So,
there is some more to this article, but I'm going to grab these super chats real quick here just before you leave or as you're on your way out the door. Willie Woodward says, got to go back to work. Oh, sorry to hear that. Catch you later on the replay. Well, thank you for that. Panel, I got to bug you guys later to ask you some advice on stuff. Well, no problem. You know how to reach out to me, Willie. I'm always able to chit-chat with you when I got some time, so feel free when you do. We will get together and talk. Pilgrim Media comes back again with another super chat. Thank you. Says, Tom, are you dyslexic? I mean, dyslexic. I mean, athletic. I mean, yeah. I do have
the last one, athletic.
I do have some slight disabilities, so that's for sure. And more than just I'm crazy.
And then K-Mation says, Andre, thank you for translating that song from Loki.
Yeah. Andre was the one who did all that. I just put the shit together.
Yeah, and that was probably that was no doubt the bigger job. But yeah, it's funny. When finally it's like, oh, hey, I actually can use my abilities to speak my native tongue in a YouTube setting. That's a rare occurrence, so let's put it to good use this time. So I hope you all enjoyed that movie with the Loki song translated from Asgardian to English.
That thing is so fresh. I just closed the program. I still had it open in the background and didn't read it.
Yeah, but don't delete it because we may want to do a Spanish version of it.
Oh, jeez. Oh, good Lord.
Norse and Espanol.
No, my biggest challenge was I wanted to do like how the lyrics come up on the, either word by word or whatever. But for some reason, that program I have just does not allow me to do that. So we'll have to check out Adobe. But anyway, that's shop talk here nor there. Now, Andre, I know you're heading out, so take care when you do here. But I want to ask Script a little bit about this, and then we'll get back into the article here. Going off of the whole thing with what I just said about the 45-day window and Universal.
So with that, everyone, I bid you all farewell and have a great rest of the stream.
All right, take care, Andre.
Good night, Andre.
Take care.
Do you think that's going to kind of be going forward the thing? Do you think they're going to kind of the bigger movies, they're not going to have like, well, we don't know how long they're going to be out there. Hopefully they're out there for a long time, making all kinds of money, seeing them on the big screen where they're supposed to be kind of thing.
That's going to be a little tricky because studios do book their release windows very long in advance. And I think this last year they've been renegotiating those dates for a while now. And part of me suspects the 45-day window is to compensate for the backlog of stuff that was supposed to come out. It's a little bit more narrow than what a normal theatrical release is, which is usually about 6 to 8 weeks ish.
How come they don't know what's going on? Because this is what I want to know from you before.
I think they do know what's going on. They're just not willing to properly confirm that information.
Well, yeah, but like let's say that you watch any given series, X series on any streaming service.
Sure.
They know how long you watched it for. They know if you watched 10 minutes of it, then you fell asleep, and then you watched the next 10 minutes the next day. They know all of this. They know if you finished it. They know if you went on to the next one. I mean, they have plenty of research, and they're spending plenty of money on this. They should know exactly what parts of the show work and which ones don't. Just give people more of that.
You would think that, and they do have that information, but I think why they don't release that detail is because a lot more people don't stay for the whole duration of a show as they wish they could. Which is why in a lot of the aggregate articles that you read, it's always about at least watching the first 5 minutes of a show or movie that's on streaming. There's a specific reason for that. It's probably because the majority don't really watch past those first 5 minutes.
Oh, it's just like a news article. Only a certain amount of people actually read the last paragraph.
Yeah, but, and it's different because with a theater, you're kind of stuck in the theater, and you do have the option to leave, but not often do you really see that happening with theatrical films. And if you do, it's because that movie is really, really god awful.
I left 2 movies in my life: Mercury Rising with Bruce Willis and Blues Brothers 2000.
I've only left one, and it was a Robin Williams film, and I was shocked.
Was it Being Human?
No, it was RV.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's not a very good Robin Williams film.
I didn't watch that.
It's probably the worst Robin Williams movie.
Pilgrim Media.
He did that to buy himself an RV.
Probably. Pilgrim Media says, Tom, where is our as Guardians of the Galaxy movie? I think that's still on its way.
That's after the Christmas special, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That's the third Galaxy movie, isn't it?
Yep.
There you go.
But
I thought Tom was talking scary. When Script was talking?
That'd be weird.
Yeah, do we have that close a voice? I didn't think so.
I don't think so. No, mine's way more nasally and high pitched.
I don't know if I could even do an impression of your voice. It's too close to mine, though. Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm going to finish reading this article here. We did have a super chat come in here. Where'd it go? Oh yeah, we got that one. Okay, so we're good. Okay, I don't think we had any more we missed. I just want to double check. No, I think we're good.
Yeah, because the next half of that paragraph is a good, nice little dig at Disney.
All right, yeah, I'm getting there. All right, where did I leave off here?
But even more perplexing.
Even more perplexing is where I was at. To consumer, but even more perplexing to consumers, plans aren't even consistent by studio. Universal's animated feature Boss Baby 2 is launching in theaters on the same day as it bows on Peacock. Actually, we should have just read this because it's kind of what I was saying. Where subscribers can watch it for free. Disney's Cruella and Black Widow will be offered in theaters to rent or on Disney Plus for $30, while Disney and Pixar's Luca is skipping theaters entirely to land on Disney Plus without the surcharge. Phew. Oh, yeah, that does not bode well for that film, though, actually. I'm every bit as confused as the consumer right now, says Peter Newman. Oh, great. A film producer.
That's a vote of confidence right there, son.
Yeah, he's a film producer as well, and the head of the Tisch School of Arts program for MBA and MFA, whatever that is. Probably Media Bachelor's Arts, something.
Stands for motherfucking average.
That's what MFA does. Who has been following?
Well, one is a
Master of Fine Arts,
Master Bachelor.
Master Fine
Bachelor
Arts.
Yeah, I was right with the Bachelor Arts part. Who has been finally
following the
show? Yeah, I can't read, guys. I need new glasses. I was supposed to get them the last 2 days. As a casual moviegoer, you'd be forgiven if you'd expected the Warner Brothers musical In the Heights to come with surcharge on HBO Max. It would be understandable if you thought you could see a recent release like A Quiet Place 2 on Netflix, and it makes sense that you'd be operating under a mistaken assumption that you could pay extra to watch Paramount's G.I. Joe spinoff Snake Eyes at home on the same day it opens in theaters. It's all part of the confusion that comes with trying to comprehend the fog of the post-pandemic movie-going landscape. The public isn't ready to dig that deep to understanding to understand on case by case or picture by picture basis. And that's what I was talking about before. Yeah. Where something is available. Newman says the rare exception is the must see movie. New information from the industry researcher Guts and Data back up the notion. The company surveyed 600 active moviegoers, most of whom were not able to distinguish where the new movies will first be available to watch. Only 33% were aware that Lionsgate action comedy The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which opened on the big screen last weekend, was being offered exclusively in theaters. Of those surveyed, 39% thought the film would be accessible to stream while it's also on movie theater marquees.
Does that mean that 60% just didn't care or didn't even hear of this movie?
It's 200 people. This is okay. So this company, Guts and Data, is and it's basically one of the companies that a lot of the Hollywood advertisers use, and they are the laziest company on the planet. They basically just went out on the street or went on social media, looked for 600 people, and said, "Okay, this is going to be our control group, our group of to give us the exact understanding of what the rest of the country of 135 million people is based on this sole 600 select people." And also they say that they're avid moviegoers, but an avid moviegoer knows where to find a film. Casual moviegoers do not. Like this is them just reaching for a speculation. Like, yes, I would agree that the majority of the country and the majority of the world would not know where to find movies after this pandemic lockdown event that we've had, but that's basically not the fault of the customer. It's the fault of the advertisers not doing their job, which is what they're supposed to do, which is convey where you can find the movie at all times. And usually you do that by making a big spectacle of that. It's only on Netflix or only on Paramount Plus, only on Peacock, only on HBO Max. Like, that's got to be the first thing that comes across the screen, because I remember, what was it, 10 or 11 years ago, a lot of movie trailers that were on TV had to start putting on only in theaters because so many people were confused between the trailers for a theatrical release and the trailers for a DVD release, that they didn't know where the movie was going to be. That's how casual and lazy some people are when it comes to just channel surfing and watching commercials. They don't pay attention. You would see people. I had friends who every weekend you'd go into Blockbuster Video asking for a movie that would be in theaters. And you
always assume it's going to be in a theater first.
There's a lot of truth to what Script's saying, and there's another side to that as well. Because coming from my end of the spectrum on the video side of it, when it comes to a movie that's coming out to your local Blockbuster or movie gallery or whatever at that time, it meant more, and you rented it a lot more if it was a theatrical release as opposed to a straight to video release.
Yeah.
Oh God! Straight to video meant it was shit.
Well, not just that. It's just it came with a stigma to it, and not only that, just most people weren't aware of it, and then they didn't get nearly the campaigns that the other movies would get. So, like, when you get your straight to video movies, unless you got some exclusive deal with the company, you're only getting one or two titles, or one or two copies of each title, maybe 5 at the most, depending on how big of an area you're in, as opposed to where, like, Space Jam, you're going to get 50 fucking copies of it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
See, that's why I love mom and pop video stores, and I always hated Blockbuster, and I hate people that are reminiscent of Blockbuster, because it's like Blockbuster had nine walls full of the newest movie and none of the movie you want to watch.
Well, no, that's true. They would buy lots of it. And the other part too is that, well, again, my buddy, every time we'd say, "Oh, we're going to go see this movie," be like, "Why? You can rent it." It's like, no, you can't. But like, they just were so confused and so out of the loop that they didn't know when it was in theaters or when it was rentable. And now we're getting something similar to that here with streaming, where because there isn't a proper ad campaign behind it that's actually highlighting where you can find this movie, people are confused where to go to see new films.
Well, and culture brings up a good point here, and this is kind of something I was going to get to anyway. Culture Casino says streaming services have so many issues. First run films should never be one of them, unless, of course, you are Netflix. Yes, a lot of people just don't. There's a big portion, I'm sure, of this country that are still not on streaming services. I recently read another report where they had an uptick in cable.
Yeah. Could you imagine just having cable, not streaming services these days?
Because a lot of people either just have regular cable, over the air
cable sucks,
antenna stuff, and they still watch DVDs. Like, there's a reason why DVDs and stuff are still still available at Walmarts and stuff, even though they don't keep up with a lot of the newer stuff like they used to. The older stuff still sells. There's a lot of rural areas that don't have good internet service or are just not going to get into it. My parents will probably never learn how to use a streaming service. It's just not going to happen. And they're not as old as you'd
Just
think.
do it for them the one time.
I've tried. I've tried. My mom and dad are just, they're content on flipping on the TV. They want to go to the channel they want to go to. My mom, even who used to be more worried about this stuff, I'm surprised, because she even used to ask me all the time about like the Big Brother stuff that used to be on streaming stuff and you had to get onto and get. And then she just kind of lost interest on that. And because it's just too complicated. It's too much to have to do, too much to have to deal with. And there's just a lot of people, I think, especially over the age of 50 or 60, that are just never going to get into this. Learning how to use a DVD was enough.
Yeah, but how come we can't just trick them into hitting search Mr. Belvedere? Whatever they want.
I wish it was that simple. I wish it was. And I don't know if Script or Valiant has anything to add to that, if they have any parents that are still around that they can relate that to, or older family members or friends or anything. But I do think there is going to be an age gap in this too.
Well, I think it's not so much an age gap. It's really an infrastructure gap. Again, there's not a whole lot, like, you're absolutely right. When it comes to the United States, there's way more areas that have weak and terrible internet than there are that have great internet. And that's a factor with regards to streaming. Nobody wants to stream something and have it buffer all the time when you're watching a show. Like, it's just, you're just fed up. You'd rather have the DVD. There's no real buffering there. Or you'd rather just watch it on cable or satellite, because the transmission is more akin to analog. It's direct.
That's why you got to tell these people, look, if you just do these streaming services, it's less money than cable. Then you just buy internet and that's it. You don't need to buy cable anymore.
But the internet still has to be able to support the streaming.
You could get the blast package or the optimum package.
A lot of places don't have that. That's what I was saying.
That's just it. And Script is right. It is an infrastructure issue, because you do have so many places. Like even where I am, in kind of a suburban area, you get about 15 miles away from where I am, and there's a lot of folks that live up in the more rural areas and some very nice houses. You can't get high-speed internet up there. I'm going over to a friend's house this weekend that's a little bit more centrally located in Louisiana, and where he is, beautiful house. It's a well-known city in that area. They have some high-speed internet, but where he is just a couple of miles out of town on 50 acres of property. He basically has 5G. That's it.
Yeah.
And you cannot really
that's
stream.
the thing. Like I deliver up in northwestern Connecticut or northwestern Connecticut. There's like no cell towers, right? But like you can't even get 5G up there. It doesn't do shit. It's just dots.
I say 5G. It's probably, you're right. It's probably not even that much, because his cell phone service sucks. The only reason he keeps a landline up there at the farm is because when he's at home, I can barely reach him on a cell.
Yeah, the only way they have anything up there is if it's hardwire.
I'll tell you something that's even worse. Is I'm in a city. I'm in a town, in an area that's considered big enough to be a city, and I literally drive out on like the highway part of town where all the restaurants are. I don't have cell phone service for like 2 miles, just because of the way this town is set up. They have decent internet here, but the town I come from, which is just less than 30 miles away, that was where I used to be. I always had streaming issues because I couldn't get enough internet, man. I was lucky if I got like 3 upload, and it was like, are you shitting me? It was like, shit. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places like, and I can imagine down south, like Valiant was saying, like there's probably big patches of areas.
See, my next bitching point is 10 years ago, AT&T was talking about how by 2026, I believe it was, they were supposed to have their whole infrastructure redone with fiber optic cable and blah, blah, blah. And
they're way behind.
What happened?
Well, okay, so here's something that a lot of people might not know. So AT&T is owned by another company that also owns Bell in Canada, because they have the exact same technology. Like it's right down, it's right, same manufacturers, same offices that build it all.
So you got the rotten copper wires too, huh?
No, actually, our internet is probably in Canada is probably one of the best on the planet right now.
Actually, the U.S. has some of the worst internet in the world.
Yeah.
That's
In
hilarious.
Canada, we have fiber from coast to coast, even out to the Maritimes and Island provinces.
Oh, you lucky
And it
shit.
also goes pretty far north as well, and it's getting more developed. And it would cost Bell $20 billion to do it.
Oh, I bet.
And it took 11
fiber
years.
optic cable is not cheap.
Well, it took 11 years, and it's also an underground system. It's not above ground, so it's weather resistant. The problem is that AT&T thought they could do the same for the same price, but they forgot that if they want to do that, they have to multiply it by 5 because basically all of the United States is pretty much populated, where Canada is mostly just the border that's populated. There's not a whole lot of stuff up north, but even though they were able to expand up north, they don't have to expand as far as how the United States has to do it. So AT&T bit off a bit more than they could chew. And I don't even know how far along they got with their first run of it. So yeah, it's going to be a long time. And
Our
on top
kids
of that,
might
like,
get lucky.
well, the other part too is that Bell also uses 3 satellites for Canada as well to assist with their internet. So it's basically you got satellite broadcasting to your relay dishes, which go to your fiber optic wires, which go to your which go to the home, like directly to the home. It's not to a junction box out on the street. It's not to a demarcation point outside of your house. It's right into your computer direct. And it's really, really fast, pretty good. It was worth the investment because this thing is easily upgradable and it's going to last for a very long time.
Yeah, and I think they would have learned a lot of innovations along the way, because it's like back in the day, I don't know how it is now, but like you could only bend a 3-foot length of fiber optic cable 1 foot.
Oh no, this stuff is super flexible. It's basically like thread, and it's durable too. And they bundle it up into a coil. It's so like there's like thousands.
So it's just like working with old fashioned wire at this point.
It's kind of like working more with rope, like with knotted rope that you get at the gym.
That's not bad at all.
But it's also insulated, and it's very flexible, and it does not break easily. Like they figured it out. The only problem is that if it's not installed in a certain region properly, like if there's a heavy rain, water will seep in and it will refract the light that the fiber optics use and cause a whole bunch of data issues. But
yeah, but don't they have
they vary about 6 feet below the surface. So
don't they put like the fiber optic cable inside of like a PVC pipe and then inside of another PVC pipe? So it's like
it's a silicone insulation. So it can still bend, and then that goes into a PVC pipe, and then that goes into another PVC pipe, and then it's 6 feet below the surface.
And it still drips in sometimes?
If it's not properly laid down and it's not sealed properly, yeah. So like if a contractor that is hired out to do a section of it doesn't do the job right, then yeah, you're going to have issues, and then they're going to have to send someone out there to dig it up and redo the whole thing. But it's also multiple
That's pretty
pipe
crazy.
systems. It's also multiple pipe systems as well. It's not just one major pipe system from coast to coast. There's several of them. And yeah, it's really, I mean, it's really good. It's, if the U.S. had it, every single citizen would be very, very happy with what it is. I don't know what they would price point it at, but probably be pretty pricey just to try and pay off the maintenance and infrastructure. But no, you come up to Canada, like, yeah, you rarely are you going to have a problem unless you really have to drive out into the rural areas.
Yeah. Well, let's get back into this article real quick because we got a little bit yet to go here. So it talks a little bit more about the guts and data deal, and it says of all those surveyed, they didn't even know Luca was available on Disney Plus, and they didn't know it was available in cinemas or theaters. People also mixed up what new films were debuting. According to the data, only 23% of those surveyed were even aware of the Hitman's Bodyguard's wife and knew it was already screening in theaters. For Luca, just 34% were aware of the property itself. In fact, in the end, the fact that it had already premiered. So I guess this is already on Disney streaming. There you go. I didn't even know it was. There's always been a degree of confusion, industry experts say, and that's what we were kind of just talking about. For the release date of new movies, but it's gotten increasingly difficult for a blockbuster hopeful, especially one that don't hail, from an existing film franchise to stand out when there's also 52 new films coming to Netflix this year alone. Not to mention the numerous Marvel TV series on Disney Plus, or the latest in a string of buzzy HBO Max shows. Is there a bunch of HBO Max shows? I didn't know that. Back in the day. Yeah, I was saying maybe you should have said movies dropping on HBO Max. I don't know about buzzy HBO Max shows. What ones are those? Back in the
I
day,
have no
there was
idea.
right. There was such a limited choice. You would go look at the newspaper listing to see if the local theater was showing a movie. Says Jason Squire, who wrote the movie business book and is a professor at the University of Southern California School of Cinematic Arts. The good news for consumers today is that there's so much choice. The bad news is that you may not know how to find that choice. That's devastating for revenue. This is a really long-winded article to basically say some really simple shit. Script, I'm going to let you kind of, because you said there was some bits in here that were kind of, well, we're almost done. Fuck it, I'll just read it. Back in the day, there was such a limited choice. You would look at, okay, we got that one already. Marketing can be the make or break factor when it comes to making simple for the public to find upcoming feature. There's a reason why TV spots and commercials for A Quiet Place 2 heavily emphasized the fact that the movie was only in theaters. The film subsequently enjoyed a huge opening weekend at the box office. The issue is that audiences don't always pay attention to everything the advertiser wants them to. After all, it's not realistic to assume all moviegoers will see a buzzy teaser and immediately Google to find out where to watch it. At the same time, the companies that make these movies are part of a massive conglomerates. That means they're not just interested in reaping box office rewards, they're also a critical component in the promotion of streaming services that their media overlords believe will be the future of entertainment business. It's just a much of the priority for Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, and others is to tout platform as a whole and boost subscribers. The downside to advertising a streamer as a one-stop shop for accessing tons of premium content is that certain movies, the kind that don't have built-in fan bases, can get lost in the shuffle. That's a problem because the theatrical movies that were in the works prior to COVID were greenlit and granted certain production budgets with the expectation that they'd hit a certain box office benchmark. This is all shit we've said a million times over. And without new properties getting the proper attention to zap into the zeitgeist, it makes it harder for fresh IP to spark the new franchises. New York City resident Tim Fitzgerald, who works in fashion, says promotion for the glut of the new content across streaming platforms and in theaters feels like an acid trip. On top of that, he finds it hard to justify shelling out extra money to see one movie at home when he already pays monthly for the service. Disney makes $1 zillion a year, he says. They have me pay a subscription fee and then want me to pay another $30 to rent Cruella? No, ma'am. Likewise, Zoe Malarius. Well, that's what do we say? What did we even say for last year?
Exactly.
Anyway, I know.
$30 for Cruella.
I told you.
Today somebody was telling me that Cruella was off of some old book, but I still don't care.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. The point being is
it doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
For those who out there listening, I know you're saying the same thing. We've been hearing this shit for a year now. Well, yeah, because these guys are finally starting to realize it. Likewise, Zoe Milleros, if I'm saying that right, a 26-year-old Manhattanite. That's how
I was to a New Yorker. She only lives on the island.
Only lives on the island. Who considers herself an avid movie watcher, calls it a mental exercise to remember where new films, even those she's already seen, are playing. I rented Promising Young Woman, which I think was on Amazon. She says, I can't even remember. There has to be a better way.
That says it all. I rented A Promising Young Woman. Next.
Well, if you rented it, first of all, then you could probably find it just about anywhere.
All right, look, I don't know what that movie is, but just by the title, just get out of my house.
I just
hear the South Park joke. It's just a bunch of gay cowboys eating pudding.
Yeah, exactly.
Was a bunch of gay cowboys eating pudding? Pretty much.
Yeah. So this Rebecca Rubin, who wrote this article, she did not do her due diligence because, again, she went off to an aggregate company that has pulls the smallest pool to get an opinion. And then she talks to someone in fashion and some friend of hers from Manhattan to help support her claim.
And
she's
for the
not
record,
wrong
I think
with
the
her
guy
premise, but she just didn't do the work to really substantiate it.
No, and we've been saying this shit for a year. Pilgrim Media says, "Can you say Earthlink satellites?" I knew you could.
I mean, yeah, a 600 pool of people to demonstrate the opinion of the whole country. No, I need something bigger than that. I need heck, the stupid Russian bot thing article was for 500 people. 500.
You're supposed to use at least 2,000.
A minimum of 2,000, and that's just for a regional area. If you're going nationwide, you have to add another 2 zeros to that.
I would hope so, but nah, fuck it.
Well, script said it correctly, because what I was going to say earlier when he was talking about, where did these 600 people comes from, or where did they come from? It's always dependent, like any poll, whether it's a political poll or marketing poll. There's got to be crosstabs to this. What questions did they ask? What were the demographics of the people? And most importantly, how do you qualify them as avid moviegoers? What was the criteria that these people had to meet, and what evidence did you have apart from, I interviewed Tim Fitzgerald, who folds shirts at the Gap on Fifth Avenue? I don't know.
He watches a movie once a month.
I think that we all know that all of the people from all of the polls were from whatever street that these interns went to work at.
No, it's basically what Script said. It's people that this author knew from either college or just friends with or whatever. And she just asked them their opinion on this shit because she had an idea for an article. And she's not wrong, like Script said, but she could have went more in depth, and this could have been a much better article. It spends so goddamn long meandering to get to the point. And I want to get to you, Script, because I know you had a really good take on this earlier. But I want to get this first. Adam Wolford sends in $20. Thank you so much. There's a town called Union City. Me and my girlfriend was looking at a house and we wanted to move to, but it would cost us $4,000 to run internet line. And if we wanted a satellite through DirecTV, $500 a month. That's the lowest. That's fucking insane.
That is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I don't know about the DirecTV thing, but the internet, the internet line, I know. I was just talking to somebody the other day. They were talking about that, and they were going to pay it themselves to have the internet line dropped. And it was just like the amount that was told to me was just like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's just installation. You don't even know what service package you're going to be paying for a month on the month after that, right?
Yeah, most of those utility companies like that, they give you so many feet of servitude off their main line. And then for every foot in excess of that, there's like a per foot charge. So whether it's, you got to pay the gas company, the water company, you got to pay. That's why so many people in rural areas, they dig wells and they just set up their own wells. Can't do that with internet, obviously. So that's why it's happening. So if you're way out of bounds and you're going to pay, okay, it's going to cost you $40 a foot. There you go.
That's insane. Troy Pacelli, how you doing, buddy? Says they paid a data aggregation service for this info. We could have told them all this for free. Actually, they probably didn't even pay them, or do they have to? Script? I don't know.
Oh, I think somebody paid them.
Or they just probably went to their website and grabbed this from somewhere. Was what I was thinking.
I'm pretty sure they grabbed that stuff off of like a Facebook poll or something.
Or something like that. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I doubt they paid for this.
The cheapest thing. I mean.
It was definitely one woman in her apartment with like 40 cats and some tears and wine. And she sat there and filled out 600 cards, slightly different.
But even on the morning show, we have more people watching that would then participate in this survey, and they're from all different areas on the planet. You could have surveyed them and had far more accurate reading than what got here. Yeah,
they could just skip all that bullshit and just go look at a chat. Or look at a comment section.
Script is right, but the only problem is we'd be getting a bit more of a based reception, because most of our audience listening and the ones we have in the morning, they're a little bit more in tune with the movie industry. What she's talking about is the average Joe or Jane, or them, or whatever.
Yeah, the ones that think everything is great.
And most people don't give a shit about these movies. They don't care. There's still some people who probably haven't seen half of the Marvel movies. Like before I got doing this more full time, there was one point I was working at a grocery store and we happened to be renting movies there. And there was a lady renting the new Thor movie, and I said something to her. I'm like, "Oh, what did you think of the Avengers something or other, whatever it was? I think it was Ultron had been out and something else at that time. I think it was Civil War." I asked her what she thought about Civil War, and she's like, "Oh, what's that?" And I explained it to her. She's like, "There's more of these?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, there's a whole," like, she had no clue that there was more than the Thor films. Like, she's like, I just like Chris Hemsworth and I like the Thor films. I didn't know he was in other ones. I'm like, oh yeah, he's in Avengers and Age of Ultron, and I pointed all the other.
It's called Marvel Comics. You dumb. She had
no, but that's my point, Jesse. Is there's so many people that don't know and they just don't care. Same thing with my mom. I walked in one day, she's watching Iron Man 3, and I'm like, knowing full well she has not seen the other films. I'm like, how the fuck do you know what's going on without seeing Avengers? She's like, I don't know. I'm like.
He's like, he flies and he's got a metal suit.
I'm like, this whole reason why he's acting this way is because everything that just went down in Avengers, and you have no. And she's like, I don't know, I don't care. She just wanted to watch a movie for 2 hours. She didn't give a shit. And it's Robert Downey Jr. and he's going pew 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 in an Iron Man suit. That's all she wanted.
Bought a giant bunny.
Well, this article takes like you said, a long, winding way to basically get to the point, and they seem to be. I don't know if they're trying to obscure it deliberately or not, but I mean, I don't even know if it's so much of a problem of people trying to figure out where to see things. I mean, if you're an avid moviegoer, and I think Script said this already, you're going to find out where it is. You're going to know where to go see it if there's something you really want to see. The problem is not that people don't know where to see it. It's just that there's really not that much out there right now that people want to see.
Yeah, and that's very good, because what are people doing all the time? Everybody's always on their damn phone. You think they don't know how to Google some media?
They're watching people like us
TikTok
right now on YouTube.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you look at the movies that have come out that have hit the theaters, and they made a point of saying, and I think there is some merit to it, sure, Quiet Place Part 2 advertises, they let people know specifically in every piece of promotion that they did, in theaters only. Come to theaters to see it. You can't, blah, blah, blah. So, and it did very, very well. The Conjuring had a very respectable opening and showing, even considering it came out day and date on HBO Max, which I had to watch.
About Quiet Place, though? I thought that movie was already out a long time ago and done because of the way they did their advertising, because I saw it a while back in the preview, and then it was just like now it popped up again.
Unless you're thinking of the first film, because this movie came
No, I'm thinking of this one.
Quiet Place 2. Yeah. They pumped it for a while, but I mean, there's a lot of other things that are just kind of coming out that are just, we haven't had that big giant kaboom yet. And obviously Disney is hoping that it's going to be Black Widow, but at this point, there's no evidence to suggest that it's going to be that movie. I don't know what's coming out between now and the end of the year, apart from Dune. I think Dune has a huge shot. And I know you guys have talked about it. I hope they pull it off the day and date streaming thing, but they really need to.
I don't think Legendary is going to let them.
You know what?
I don't think they will either.
Fate, call it karma. I believe everything happens for a reason. Right? I think it will be Ghostbusters.
Well, hopefully. And here's an interesting thing about Ghostbusters. Speaking of my mom, I showed her, and this is where I said I think they fucked up on that first trailer, but they might be okay. They might be okay because the pandemic gave them a lot more time to breathe again, and they got to come out. They got to come out with a really good new trailer though, because I showed my mom that trailer and she was confused as fuck. Because I showed it to her and I'm like, here, look, it's a new Ghostbusters movie. She's like, oh, because she likes Ghostbusters, and she actually liked the one with the girls.
That little 20-second teaser with Paul Rudd.
Yeah, well, no, I showed her the original teaser that came out with where it shows with
the kids,
with the kids and all that stuff. And the first thing she says is, "Where's the girls?"
Are you fucking high?
No, I'm not. She's like, because this is the normie world. As far as she's concerned, the original franchise is done and over with.
Just be like, look, look, McCarthy is dead. I don't know the other ones' names, but they're not around anymore.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing:
they're in the.
I know, Jesse. I'd explain it to her, but this is my problem, and I think they did a piss poor job with that trailer. And that's my point: is you have enough people in the world who don't realize that they're coming back with the original cast, and that the other one has nothing to do with anything anymore, right?
They need to show Ray out there blasting.
That's what they should have done. At least have one member of the original cast in the trailer, and that's what I was talking about back then. And that's what I was saying is because nobody had any clue that unless they were following this shit that this was a continuation of the original
franchise.
What's the
release date, or what's the targeted release date for that?
Originally, it was supposed to be out last summer.
Well,
I've been waiting a long ass time for this movie.
Now it's up for November. And like I've said, that's the movie that they can push it out as long as they want because they have no reason to release it any sooner than anything else. It has no real expiration date on it.
Just so Bill Murray wants. That's all you need.
And the best thing is the more distance they put between that 2016 film and this, the better. Pilgrim Media comes in and says, "Are you guys familiar with the future communications disaster brought on by space junk dropping all satellites?"
NASA's already got this situation solved. They've been using satellites that are on their way out and repositioning them to capture space junk and take it with them on their way back down to the planet. So, or push it outside of the planet as the orbit as well.
So we're down to interplanetary billiards.
It's a little bit like that, actually. Yeah, like so a satellite that's going to retire like in a couple of years. They'll send signals to it to intercept other space junk to either knock it back into the atmosphere to land in the ocean or burn up, or knock it away from the planet so it doesn't hit anything else. Because there's a lot of junk out there, like a lot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating that they can do that.
Well,
Well,
And
once
also-
they get going with the Artemis program, shouldn't they just like pick up a bunch of that shit with a magnet on the way back every time?
Well, it adds a lot of weight to the vessel, so they got to be careful about that.
Just undo the magnet, whatever hits
If
the
anything,
ground.
I would say redirect it so it
Fix
lands
that
on the
some
moon,
houses.
and then once you put a colony on the moon, use that scrap to recycle it into.
See, that's a way better idea.
It's very expensive and difficult to do, but yeah, it's one option.
They're eggheads. They like figuring stuff out.
Well, Chris Hill's all for billiards, so there you go.
Yep,
Now-
Voltron helps.
No, I remember reading something like, I don't remember where it was, but it was like an off thing a while back where they said something like in the last 10 years we've quadrupled or more, well more than that, the amount of satellites and shit we got in outer space compared to what we've ever had before.
Oh yeah,
Futurama did it.
just go to NASA.com. They have the space junk tracker.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You can barely see the Earth in it.
All right. Well, was there anything more anybody wanted to say about the streaming service stuff? Because I think it's obviously something we're going to keep talking about.
Streaming service is going to be the new physical media. It's going to have the same
is.
model that the physical media had in the early 2000s. Your theaters are going to be in a lot more negotiating power in the coming years, and I think that's going to be a benefit to everybody because again, until the entire world is wired for high-speed internet, streaming service is always going to be just outside of the purview of the majority of customers.
And Pilgrim Media, who's just not happy and content with what you guys had concluded with, says, "Can you explain how you can catch a ball going 17,000, I'm assuming, miles an hour?"
Yes, you establish a pattern and then you intercept it in that brief moment you've got.
And I
Or
figured,
simply
I'm
put,
going from behind.
computers and shit.
I'll go from behind, approaching its speed, and then just pluck it out of the air. I don't know how I'm going to accomplish this. I might die.
our buddy Jace sent me this. I don't know if anybody's going to get a kick out of this. But
Oh, I love that. Yep.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Evidently not Amazon.
How come they don't have F shirts?
I don't know. Now there was another story. We don't have a shit. Let me see here. I don't think I got a ton of time here left. Here, let me. 9 Eastern is how long from now? We're almost there, right?
13
That's
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna have to wrap her up here soon. So Jesse, we're gonna save your story if that's all right, because that is a really good story. Jesse had a good story that I wanted to get into too, but we're just not gonna have enough time to get into it now because reading that last article took me an hour.
Big conversation.
Yeah, but yeah, you'd have brought up a good story, even some stuff I didn't even totally know about in the radio business. But there's this bill that Dionne Warwick's been trying to push through that they've been trying to get through for almost like the last 50 years. Because evidently, I did not know this because we pay ASCAP when I worked at the radio stations. Then that just means ASCAP doesn't fucking pay the artists then, evidently. So
Can you believe this? Every time that you've carried on your wayward son, they ain't get paid. Not a dime. Not
So
a
I
little
don't-
bit.
Crazy.
I feel much better doing MEAD radio because at least when they claim it or shut it down, then whatever. I'm doing
Yeah,
more than
right.
what the radio stations are doing. And I used to work for them. I used to have my own broadcast license. Hell, it might even have been good till not too long ago. I don't have to look, but I'd have to dig it out. I think they got a good 10 years on them, or how many is
What does that allow you to do?
it means I can actually go on the air you actually technically have to be licensed to jump on a radio station and actually.
For
Broadcast.
hosting a show,
But how
yeah,
the
you have
hell
to be
is this
licensed to be a
legal?
guest, but you have to be licensed to host and operate. Yeah.
To actually do it to where, to do it as a.
How
you
come they
to be able
don't
to.
It's that
Starstones.
broadcast engineer title, right? That's what they call it.
I think so. I had to get a license for it. It was a deal. I just got lucky at the time when I got it, but like normally it's a big pain in the ass. But I had gotten a job, so they were able to fast track me and get all my shit done. But that was so long ago now. I'm sure it's no good. I think it was 10 or 15 years it was good for, and then I had to renew it. And I think I just let it lapse. So whatever.
I'm still unclear that how come you have to do that for radio, but
It's just like
you
ham
don't-
radio.
Yeah, but you don't have to do that for YouTube.
Well, it's a different kind of thing. You never know. They may start some stupid shit like that. Don't give me
Oh
a
man,
fucking
Canada
idea.
passed something that's going to screw over YouTube for Canadians for a while. So basically, if you're a big enough channel, you're going to be regulated by the CRTC.
Yeah, this is why, because the airwaves are licensed and ruled by the FCC. That's why.
Yeah,
and it's already being challenged in
public
court again.
broadcast.
And it hasn't actually gone through the next few stages of of approval yet, so it might not actually go away.
Shit, I was probably breaking the rules by if I still had my license was any good, and I was out here on YouTube swearing and shit anyway. So that's kind of how I got fired in the first place. Not because I was swearing.
Tom, this is where it's at right now. Okay, people know what YouTube is, but once earlier this year, I was inadvertently rude to someone without meaning to be, and he said he does a radio show, and I was like, "You mean like normal radio?" He says, "Yeah." I was like, "That's still a thing?"
Oh yeah,
because it's and the other day, like not the other day, but about a month ago or something, I had broken my phone, so I was one night without being able to play my own music, and I put on the radio, and it's the same 5 songs that was the last time I heard the radio, and I just don't understand how this is
called a rotation
anymore. Yeah, but why is it always the same 5
Because if you break that rotation, because that's the rotation, man. And I'll tell you, and that's what makes no sense to me with your story, Jesse. And I'm glad you brought that up. And I know we're gonna wrap this up here soon anyway. But no, like, dude, I don't get that. But they was very heavily it's so one motherfucker in the studio said they could have a job. That's why, because there's one stupid idiot in the studio who does that job. And if you don't play what they tell you to play, they get pissy with you. Because then they don't have a job. Because God forbid the fucking DJ could actually know what music is, because that's their fucking oh, trust me, this is something.
Yeah, but can't they, instead of picking 5 songs, can't they at least pick 100 songs?
Oh, Jesse, I love you, buddy.
Carry on, my wayward son.
Okay, second of all, if you're listening to a
stop
classic rock station, I guarantee you it's coming from like a satellite stream of like maybe a choice of 5 channels. Like anymore, that's the thing. Real disc jockeys don't exist. All they do now is come in the morning, tell you the fucking weather, tell you the local news, and then they flip over to the fucking national shit. It's all fucking automated now for almost 24 hours.
Don't forget all the commercials selling me furniture.
Well, that's what I'm saying now, dude. There's hardly any DJs around anymore. Like, it's really been automated now for the most part. For like, if I go to my biggest local classic rock station here, that's by me, and listen to it, chances are you flip to yours, I guarantee you the same fucking thing's going to be playing, Jesse, because they all get it from the same satellite feed.
Yep.
It's terrible.
It's international wise too. We used to get like Casey Kasem up in my area when he was still doing his show.
Yeah, I flip on now. I get like Alice Cooper used to do radio for a while. We get his show and a few other things like
and Kim Mitchell did one too.
Which is kind of like classic radio. It's almost gone back to the old syndicated kind of thing, but at the same time, it's sad because you call up your local radio station and it ain't nobody there but maybe some idiot asshat who barely knows how to push a button because that's all he's there to do.
Yeah, like a couple of people that operate the basics.
They don't even
like you remember when you used to have CDs and cassettes, and,
dude. After a certain time at my old station, I was the only one there doing everything, dude. So it was. I wouldn't be surprised if in certain places that's the way it is, man. At most points, there's only one person in the station at a time.
Yeah.
Do you want to know a really obscure trivia fact about music?
Yes,
potentially.
Ted Nugent, he recorded more than one song.
Well, yeah, there was Cat Scratch Fever and Wango Tango. We all know that.
Yep, and Free for All occasionally.
No, I know
if you've been good.
That's what sucks about him. He's a
Cat
complete
Scratch Finger better.
Yes,
my finger.
I remember the days when radio stations had contests. Like you'd call in and do some sort of crazy stunt, and they'd give you like a 10-foot hoagie or something.
I will give my local radio station, this is funny. I moved to the town where the station I actually used to live in, which is crazy. But they still, the same old guy who used to be the same DJ back when I was working there is still doing the same fucking Saturday night show that he was doing for the last 40 years or 30 years or so. So I give him credit on that. And he does a lot of that stuff. He does the trivia and the giveaways and all that stuff. It's really cool. But yeah, no, it sucks. But we're gonna wrap this up. Valiant, welcome to MEAD. I think you've been on here before, haven't you?
Yeah, I think one time before, maybe a month or two ago. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Your channel.
Had fun. Well, you guys can find me out there at Valiant Renegade on YouTube and Valiant Renegade. Just drop the E at the end on Twitter. And appreciate you guys being here and joining us. My channel, we kind of talk a lot about the same stuff. Business, entertainment, news, movie, pop culture, all that fun stuff. And just one last thing, you guys, we've got almost 260 people in here right now still watching. We've got 171 likes on my screen. I might need to refresh it, but please make sure you hit that like button before you head out. Take care.
Awesome sauce. And Jesse, you got anything coming up or anything to plug? I know you got monetized recently. Congratulations. When's that
Yes,
stream coming?
indeed.
Outstanding.
Yes. And I want to say that Stranglehold was by the Envoy Dukes. Not technically by Ted Nugent, although he's like,
This guy knows his music.
But yeah, man, I'm gonna run a stream after this in about an hour, maybe around 10 o'clock.
Cool.
Whoever wants to stop by. See,
Kitty
I told
wants
you,
to.
man. Yeah, he's been quiet the whole time until you had me speak. That's how cats work.
That's his.
But yeah, come on by. It'll be cool. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. Go watch something else.
You know what's funny is Fake Name says that's a radio voice right there. We got 4 different radio voices here. You got my radio voice, and then you got Valiant, and then you got Jesse, who's just kind of like that Saturday or late night guy. Like, hey, we got like
I'm the young version of the Big Lebowski.
yeah, kind of.
And then you got me who does the weather.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say script on news and weather, and obituaries on Sundays. He's the most respectable of us. So.
Can you do a good brick?
A good brick.
Yeah, from Anchorman, man.
Oh,
I like cake.
I like lamb.
God.
I like lamb. Are you
I
just
like
naming
lamb.
stuff in the office?
I killed a man with a trident.
What?
I saw that. You might want to get a safe house and lie low for a few days.
Script, you got anything coming up, or are you just gonna be doing stuff on other people's channels?
I'm just gonna be bouncing around on other streams. I am super tired right now, so I'm first gonna go to bed. But yeah, just follow me on Twitter. I usually retweet where I'll be showing up or retweeting streams. I think you should probably go watch because they're informative panels. And yeah, hopefully this by the end of the summer, I'll be finished all my assignment work and screenwriting stuff, and I'll be back to making some content for all you people.
All right, and I'll be heading over onto the stream with Black Angus Reviews. I don't know exactly what all we're talking about, but it might be fun. So head on over there if you want to come hang out with me. Otherwise, it sounds like Jesse's going to be streaming in about an hour. Other than that, I want to thank you all for being here. Without you guys, we couldn't do this. You guys make this show possible. It's you guys, the one, the only audience who make me sane, because if it wasn't for you, I'd be talking to myself or just these guys. Oh, I'm sorry, MRS, Mr. S21. Sorry, you just found the stream, but you can always back it up when we have other streams from before, and you can find us again either on some randomness this weekend, or we'll be back here on Tuesday at roughly 6 p.m. Central. So you can catch us then. So I'll be heading over to Black Angus's. This is the first time I think I've ever been on his channel. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
He's cool.
Yeah. And to take us out, there's been a lot of talk about Kathleen Kennedy lately,
Why did she finally finish her transition?
Yeah, no.
Oh, dude, I seen her. She's been in all those memes about the weightlifting.
Well, there's some rumblings. I'm not going to say too much. I'll just say, sounds up. Sounds up. That's all I'm going to say. And on that note, I'm just going to say, why not Timmy?
Cheddar!
And let's do a little Mario.